It was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. But it takes place in the 80s during the Cold War. And it's just about, it's like a what if scenario. And it's like, what if Russia and Cuba invaded the United States? And then it gets into all this, it's silly. It's an 80s action movie. Sure. Like this high school football team called the Wolverines becomes like a rebel, the insurgents basically, and they're like guerrillas. Wow. And they call themselves the Wolverines, and the Russians are all like, what is up? We need to kill these Wolverines.
I think I may have seen something like this.
But they're remaking it, and it's coming out this year. And, since the Russians aren't a threat anymore, it's the Chinese.
Wow. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. It's just funny.
They didn't go with
Al-Qaeda. I mean, because they don't
invade us.
They don't really have an army.
Yeah.
And they're fictional.
Yeah, they don't exist. Right, Britt?
What do you mean by exist?
This guy, Bill Clinton over here.
I did not have sex with that woman.
Define sex.
Have you ever wanted to generate your own supply of electrical power? If so, this is going to be the most important message you will ever hear. Solar-powered generators are now available from Solutions from Science, one of GCN's oldest and most trusted sponsors. These emergency backup systems provide life-saving electrical power when you need it most. Unlike gas generators, a solar generator runs quietly, emits no fumes, and produces electricity for free. It's like having an electric power plant running quietly in your own home. Run sump pumps, shortwave radios, computers, and even keep food from spoiling. You'll never have to suffer through painful power outages again. When the power goes out, you'll be ready with a solar-powered generator from Solutions from Science. Go to mysolarbackup.com and get off the grid today. That's mysolarbackup.com today.
All right, get off the grid. Get off the grid. Stop feeding into their. We got to decrease our dependence on this.
Yahoo!
We're acting like a 30-year-old who's living with his parents. You'd be like, oh, you got to give me. I don't know how to take care of myself. Listen, you stupid Americans. How much was your electric bill last month?
Too much.
What about yours?
Also too much.
No. Well, mine was too much.
Yeah, man.
Look, I just got breaking news that David Icke is doing an 8-hour seminar in New York City.
Oh, good. He needs to come back to America.
This is the closest he's ever been to us.
Yeah.
New York City.
Well, we should go, Britt.
It's going to be an 8-hour seminar.
Oh, yeah.
On October 17th.
Mm-hmm.
I hope there's a break at the 4-hour mark.
Yeah, he breaks every once in a while. Yeah, man. He goes balls deep when he gives his speeches and whatnot.
Do you want to do a quick Ike clip? You want to throw a click?
Yeah, let's give him a little taste.
Right. The war on terror that has emerged in the last few years is actually manufactured, is engineered, and the story is very, very different to the one you're being told by the newspapers, by the media in general, and by the politicians. He's just been told, by whatever means, that a plane has hit the World Trade Center. He's the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief. What does he do? He goes into a classroom and reads a story about a pet goat. Andy Card came in and he said to me, Mr. President, America's under attack. Okay, Andy. As soon as I know what's happened to this goat, I'll be right out. The secret agenda is hiding behind that. The secret agenda, which is to create a global version of Nazi Germany and then some. Imposition, constant surveillance, microchipped people, and of centralization of power on a scale the world in known history has never seen.
Oh, snap.
Oh, man.
David Icke.
I'm surprised they haven't assassinated him yet. Well, then again, he does seem like a loony. Most people aren't going to like.
And that's the thing. That's absolutely
yeah, sure.
it.
That's like a good protection.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even just that, but like I mean, what better way to discredit someone?
Sure. I actually had that discussion with somebody over the past few days. They were like, "Aren't you afraid of talking about the things that you talk about? Like, don't you think?" And I'm like, "Well, first of all, like, it's a really expensive, really dangerous, really just resource-intensive effort to kill someone or have them kidnapped.
Yeah.
So they have to, even if you are the so-called powers that be, it's still a difficult thing to do. It's still something you have to...
because everybody knows you.
Right.
Like, you know people. You're not just some, would be like, what the hell happened to, what happened to Lou?
And also, the people who are most at risk, and God bless them for it, because they have balls the size of this room, are the whistleblowers and the people who actually are basically former henchmen of the establishment who then turn around and whistleblow and then reveal information for the first time. If you're revealing something new about crimes that people don't know about yet, then you better watch your back. But if you're just parroting the information as we are right now, don't get me wrong, we're a thorn in their side, at least I aspire to be, but... these murderers, they're not stupid. Otherwise, they wouldn't be running the world, and they don't run around killing people just for opening their mouths.
Because it would just validate it more.
Yeah, at least not yet. They don't kill people yet. For just opening their mouths.
Absolutely no. But that will be the case soon.
What do you guys think happened to Kennedy?
The Illuminati killed him, to put it as bluntly as possible.
I actually have no opinion on this whatsoever.
I got really into the Kennedy assassination after I saw...
You know why? Here, real quick, it just occurred to me why. Because, there's just certain things, and maybe because it's so overplayed, and, with the Kennedy... it kind of just bores me now. I have no interest in finding out what happened to Kennedy.
That's part of the strategy, too.
Because it's so oversaturated movies and documentaries and everything that I'm just like, oh...
I think that's the intent with 9/11 as well, is to...
Exactly. That's how I got into it. After seeing the footage of those buildings fall for the 600th time, that's when I was like, all right, stop. Can we watch something about Kennedy? If I'm going to watch the same clip over and over and over again, I'd rather it be Kennedy's head exploding.
You'll notice,
film over and over
after
again.
it happened in 01, you'll notice the mainstream media jammed it down your throat 24 hours a day, straight 24 hours a day for at least 6 months. That was what you would see if you turned on.
You know what, though?
MSNBC,
At least we have separate camera angles. That's really
but
good
and then
us.
But the interesting thing is that right immediately after that, you became sort of chastised, and they view you with disdain if you want to remind people of this footage that was jammed down your throat. So it's an interesting contrast, because now it's kind of like you dare not speak its name.
Right.
But then 8 years ago or 9 years ago now, it was like a fetishized snuff film that we're all forced to watch over and over again.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just another example of the hypocrisy.
Never forget, but just don't talk about it.
Yeah,
They did the same thing with the Holocaust, too. Once the images broke and they got it everywhere and they made such a big deal of forcing everyone to remember, that forces everyone to forget.
Yeah.
You don't want to remember it because...
Well, it's just like what you said with the Trump card, where whenever you bring up the word Nazi, you automatically are taking it to this extreme,
Right,
and you lose the argument because you brought it to an extreme. That
That's some sort of ridiculous rule that certain hipsters follow.
Yeah.
It's somehow uncool to make any comparisons between the activity of your government or your country and compare it to Nazism. Because we all know when we bathe in delusion, that'll never happen again.
Right. When explain to me the difference between papers, please, and when I get pulled over and the cop comes up to me and he says license and registration and insurance card. What is that? That is papers, please.
But you don't even have to be in a car. You could just be walking around and a police officer will be like, you got any ID?
That is true, because that happened to me and our friend Dan on Mischief Night when we were like 21 years old. We were walking. We weren't even kids. We were like 21 years old walking down the street, and a cop just happened to drive by. We were in Lawrence Development. Cop just drives by and stops and asks for our ID.
Yeah.
Nothing. We weren't doing anything wrong. Nothing suspicious. Walking down the street. I think we might have been smoking a cigarette. That was it.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, oh man.
Fifth Amendment rights. Just stare at them. Don't say anything. Don't fall into... Just even answering a cop or a judge enters you into an agreement that you're under their jurisdiction.
You know, and it's funny because, like, I keep going back to this, like, I agree with what you're saying and everything, but, like, all of this stuff is all well and good. It's in the Constitution, and it's, you know, it's what we're talking about. But at the same time, they're not, like, we're playing by a different set of rules, the right rules, but they're not playing by those rules. So, like, if I'm just right, exactly, they're not significant. If I'm just like, hey, you know, like, I have the right to bear arms, and they say no, you don't, and I'm like, but the Constitution says that I do, and they say, who cares?
Yeah, who cares? We use that for toilet paper.
Exactly.
I mean, and it says a lot. It's a testament to how reality works when the number one tool being utilized against the establishment right now is the internet. not some legal document, not some,
For now.
until they try to figure out a way to shut it down.
Yeah.
Which they're working on right now, by the way.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, I really feel that it's playing dirty, and I put that in quotes, of course, because it's not dirty. It's actually just what human beings try to do to freely communicate. But yeah,
Yeah.
rock and roll.
All right, let's go on to another song.
Okay.